South Sudan's government has shown reluctance in implementing the revitalized peace agreement to end fighting or prioritize the needs of the citizens. As a result, it adds, the level of socio-economic development is extremely low and among the lowest in the world. But activist Wane also blames Ugandan President Yoweri Museveni for some of South Sudan's wars.
But however, the issue is again, the statement is coming from a person like him who has been part of the problem of South Sudan. Because remember in 2013, he sent his troops to war. And in fact, the UN report castigated his troops that they used cluster weapons that were banned by UN. So he is part of the problem of South Sudan. So if he's saying that South Sudan is a laboratory of bad leadership, that means he's part of that bad leadership.
President Museveni is a close ally of President Salva Kiir. In 2014, reports by the United Nations mission in South Sudan cited that it had found evidence of the use of cluster bombs in areas controlled by the Ugandan Army and then Sudan People's Liberation Army during the Civil War. The UN in the report blamed Uganda for supporting and using weapons that were banned by the Security Council on the people of South Sudan. South Sudan had invited Uganda to assist in the fight against the former rebels led by now First Vice President Dr. Riek Machar in 2013 when fighting erupted in the capital Juba. Reporting for iRadio News, I am Woja Emmanuel.
Thank you, Woja Emmanuel. An immigration official at the Nimule border of South Sudanese refugees in Uganda are returning home as election day near. An immigration official at Nimule, who asked for anonymity, stated that on January 7th, a total of 121 refugees were among 270 South Sudanese that entered into the country. And then on Sunday, January 10th, the officer stated that 220 refugees returned to the country out of 369 South Sudanese that entered through the Nimule border. Speaking to iRadio yesterday, the immigration official says the returnees cite the possibility of post-election violence in Uganda.
On the 7th, there were 217 South Sudanese. 101 were South Sudanese coming back from holidays. There were 121 refugees. Yesterday was the highest number that we got. Received 369 and 220 were all refugees. Because of the organization.
Meanwhile, the number of Ugandans entering South Sudan has also reportedly increased. The immigration official reveals that the Ugandans say they fear violence would break out after the elections.
According to the statement that we actually get from these Ugandans, they are actually really scared. Even the number of Ugandans that are coming to South Sudan are even more than actually South Sudan. They come, actually, they pay their normal business, they go through normal immigration procedures. But there is a panic there, actually, there is a serious panic actually over the elections.
Civil society groups have raised concerns that the polls might be marked by violence. 3 days ago, the UN Human Rights Office in Uganda urged authorities there to ensure elections are free and peaceful, noting that the arrests of opposition candidates and their supporters are among several worrying developments ahead of the vote. According to reports, there are about 1 million Ugandans engaged in formal and informal businesses in South Sudan. Meanwhile, regional bodies, including the Intergovernmental Authority on Development (IGAD) and the East African Community, have sent in election observers to Uganda. IGAD deployed 22 observers in the central districts of Kampala, Wakiso, Mukono, Luero, and Pigi. They are tasked with monitoring the exercise to ensure the process is smooth. The East African Community Election Observers Mission is led by former Burundian President Domitien Ndayizize. He explains their mission.
It's important, therefore, that we remind ourselves of the objective of this mission, which are, first, to observe the electoral process and to offer a balanced and informed assessment of the elections by encouraging the voters and the other stakeholders to participate freely in an environment that promotes competition and tolerance without intimidation and violence.
You are listening to iRadio News. The Ministry of Health has confirmed 8 new cases of coronavirus in the last 24 hours. This raises South Sudan's tally to 3,670. The results were obtained from 201 samples tested across the country. The number of fatalities due to the virus remains at 63, as there was no new deaths registered. The Public Health Laboratory said it has so far conducted over 80,000 tests since the virus was first confirmed in the country. According to a statement seen by iRadio, the coronavirus incident manager, Dr. Richard Lako, said they are tracing 186 contacts of the confirmed cases. Meanwhile, the number of cases recorded worldwide has surpassed 91.2 million, with over 65 million recoveries and 1.9 million deaths. The public is advised to strictly continue adhering to the social